Although you wouldn't know it from watching most of the news, protests are going on right now in Iran that have already proved deadly. Protesters took to the streets shortly after the government announced an increase in fuel prices by as much as 300%, depending on what area you're in. But although that was one of the initial impetuses, it has spread beyond that. There's long-standing economic grievances going back quite a while. And the issue is that the ruling regime has struck back with horrific violence in some cases. Depending on who you talk to, some official sources are saying 12 people have already died. But Amnesty International, citing credible reports, says it believes at least 106 people have been killed during these protests already. That was from allegations from a report released Tuesday. But as it stands right now, in addition to the violence, there's also been a significant crackdown on the ability to organize and communicate for those participating in these protests. The Iranian government has shut down nearly all internet access in the country. There are pockets of access that have let people show what's happening on the ground, but they're rare. Phone calls abroad still work, but those are closely monitored. And while this is going on right now in Iran, it is not just in Iran that governments are starting to wield this sort of power over the internet more broadly. Both India and Pakistan have shut down internet access in the hotly disputed territory of Kashmir in recent months, while Russia recently gave itself the power to shut down the internet at will. And so as of right now, it's not using that power, but hypothetically, if protests against Putin or the government developed once again, as they have in multiple cases over the past few years, they could exercise that too. Now, in terms of what the government might do in the near future, their communications about this issue are not positive, with Khamenei saying the counter-revolution and Iran's enemies have always supported sabotage and breaches of security and continue to do so. Unfortunately, some problems were caused, a number of people lost their lives, and some centers were destroyed. So acknowledging the loss of life, but claiming that the people who have justifiable economic grievances are counter-revolutionaries is not what you want to hear. And in addition, the interior ministers warned that security forces will act against protesters if quote unquote vandalism continues. So when you already have at least 12, possibly more than 100 people have been killed, the government's saying that, no, we're not backing down. If this continues, the violence will continue. That is literally the last thing that you want to hear. Unfortunately, with so much going on in the US, you're not hearing much about this story, but it is significant and ongoing, so don't ignore it. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.